You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, sponsored by Essentia Health.
It only takes one step, twist, or crunch to know something doesn't feel right. Essentia Health's orthopedic and sports medicine team gets you back to doing what you love with commitment, resilience, intention. We're here to keep you moving forward. Visit essentiahealth.org to learn more about orthopedics and sports medicine, like nowhere else.
Hello and welcome to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health. I'm Matt Wellens, the Bulldogs hockey beat writer at the Duluth News Tribune and the Rink Live.
And I'm Zach Schneider, the television voice of UMD Hockey on My 9 Sports.
We are back after a short Thanksgiving break. The Bulldogs men and women are both home for the next 2 weeks before we hit the Christmas break. The women host Ohio State and St. Thomas the next 2 weeks at Amsoil Arena. The men have Colorado College and Denver coming to town. Joining us this week on the podcast is the sniper extraordinaire for the Bulldogs women's hockey program. She's tied for the team high of 7 goals and 2-game winners on the season. Welcome to the podcast, fifth-year senior defenseman, Maggie Flaherty.
Thanks for having me.
Do you like that title, Sniper Extraordinaire?
Yeah, that works.
You've been doing a lot of that this season. Maggie, we'll start off. How was your Thanksgiving weekend? We were saying this is the first time in your 5 seasons that you've had the Thanksgiving weekend off. And the Media Begins With Me committee loves that you guys didn't play games this weekend. Scott's usually good, Zach, at giving us the weekend off, minus when his wife has him invite his son's team for a series here, Minnesota State. But the women, you guys have done trips around the country, the pandemic year. You were playing, I believe, the Gophers. Maggie, for you, what was it like to have Thanksgiving off?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I got to go home for a little over 24 hours. Got to spend time with the family, which was really awesome. And then came back and we did some team bonding, like gingerbread, making houses and stuff over the weekend. So it was really great.
So you still made it a team weekend.
Yeah, I can't get rid of them.
Would you rather be playing Thanksgiving weekend or have it off?
I think after the past 4 years of playing and like being in tournaments and stuff, like it's always nice to travel places, but it was really nice to be with my family this year.
Is there a trip like over your previous 4 years that you enjoyed the most? The Thanksgiving trip that stood out?
Ooh, I would say the Washington, D.C. one last year. That was super cool. Like I've never been there, and like we had a couple days off, got to see the White House, and yeah, just explore a little bit, and it was super fun. You
guys are on a 4-game winning streak. You beat St. Cloud State. You pound Harvard, just destroy them, 13-0 over 2 games. Is there a bad time for like a bye weekend? Is that a thing? Like, does the media make too much out of these breaks that you're on a win streak? You'd like to keep playing? Did it matter that you guys had stopped playing after embarrassing Harvard?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, it's always nice to get a break and kind of reset, but I mean, like not like practices change or anything. Like this whole week we went Monday through Saturday, besides the Thanksgiving day, but yeah, still working hard, like still working on our game plans and stuff. So it's nice to have those breaks without games, but you still get to work on like those little things.
Is having Ohio State coming out of the break maybe the best case scenario, just to have games to look forward to when you go 2 weeks without playing? We always say players like to play games, right? You'd rather play games than practice, but having Ohio State at the end of this bye week and this 2 weeks of practice, that's kind of a best case scenario for you, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone's going to be obviously super excited just to play a game, but Ohio too, like that's going to be a great matchup, and get back after like early in their season when they beat us, like it'll be a fun game.
How important is it for these practices coming out of St. Cloud State, coming out of Harvard, where maybe you were just physically, and developmentally and depth-wise just the better team in those series, and now you come back with Ohio State, a team that you played really well out in Columbus, so to maybe reinforce some of those habits that may have crept in and get rid of them before you get into a Buckeye series. I mean, having 2 weeks of practice seems like it's a good thing to maybe reset and refocus.
Yeah, definitely. I always say that like our game plan never changes when we play teams. We like to just work hard and just get after it every day. So I wouldn't say much has changed. Like, we've just been working hard every day. But there's always just a little bit more excitement coming off of, like, the off weekend. Like I said, like, wanting to play another game. And like I said, again, when it is Ohio, like, we have a little chip on our shoulder.
You went through 3 or 4 weeks there where I thought you played really good hockey against Ohio State, Wisconsin, Minnesota. You had a strong stretch there against other top teams in the country and in the WCHA. Didn't get a lot of the results that you wanted, but I thought played really well, and a lot of those games could have gone either way, a couple overtime games in there. But then you come back and you get on this 4-game winning streak. Things start to go your way. You see the puck go in the net a lot. So just to see the results be there and replicate the effort that's been there and the process, does that help too, just to get some wins and get everybody feeling a little bit better, even though I thought you were playing well in that 6-game stretch?
Yeah, for sure, especially to see like our goal scoring spread widely throughout our whole roster. It does just show our depth, and it gives like a lot of the younger kids confidence. Harvard, we had a lot of first goals happen. Even St. Cloud, like we had everyone was a different goal scorer. Like no one really had more than a couple points. So yeah, so I think it's just building confidence off of that and then taking that and bringing it into the next couple weeks.
Maggie, the Harvard series. I think Naomi Rogie mentioned this, that maybe the players get more jacked up for that series now, wanting to win the games for your coaches. Maura Kroll was a coach at Harvard. Laura Bellamy, proud alum of Harvard and a former assistant there. Who does get more excited for those games these days when you guys take out the Crimson?
Well, Lou's face after that weekend was pretty exciting. Yeah, I would say they still might have a little up on us, the coaches, but we definitely do get excited about it just to like play for them and just kind of show their old school like what's up and that they made a good change.
Did they try and hide it a little bit, downplay it, or they don't even?
I think it's kind of hard to hide for them to hide it a little bit because like they try to be like mature about it and everything, but there's definitely a couple chirps coming in from Lou on the ice. So
we mentioned you have Ohio State coming to Amsoil Arena this weekend. Another national championship rematch 6 weeks after the first one in Columbus. What was it like seeing the Buckeyes back in October? That first rematch of the national championship. What's it like seeing that banner, which I noticed on the stream is really small? And I get it, their rink. It's kind of not a lot of room to work with. Like, it's not a big banner you're looking at. It was a small national championship banner, but whatever. What was it like for you guys seeing Ohio State that first time, and how much of that was in any of your minds, that this is a national championship rematch?
I think it was definitely in our minds, but at the same time, like, it's a whole new season. Like, you're going to think about the past a little bit, have that chip on your shoulder, but at the same time, it is a new season, and, like, if it's anybody's game at this point, you know, like, just because you won last year doesn't really mean anything this year, and if you guys want to play off, like, that's your card, yeah, go for it, but you're going to have a lot more teams coming after you. Yeah, I think everyone was amped up for it, just to, like, get kind of back at them, but we're just more focusing on our game and not so much like their banner, like how they're going to do anything. Just all about the Dogs on that one.
Can you get revenge from a national championship game in the regular season, or do you have to wait and hope maybe you see them in either the WCHA playoffs or the NCAA playoffs to really kind of get your revenge from last year?
You could probably get it a little bit in the regular season. Like, yeah, it's going to sting more at the end of the season, but yeah, just any win against a team, there's a lot of big rivals out there and everyone is going after each other in the WCHA. So I think that you can definitely pull some momentum out of people by those wins.
That was a game last year, the national championship game, that you had to watch as you missed the last part of the season. I think it was 15 games in total with an injury. And, we don't have to relive that, that unfortunate reality, because you might have been a player that could have meant a lot, especially if you played at the level you were before you got hurt. But to watch that game, and maybe you've already made your decision that you were going to come back. Maybe you haven't. I can't remember if you had told us before going into the NCAA tournament if you were going to be back for your 5th year. But how much did that game, whether you decided or not, kind of reignite the fire to watch your team lose on that stage and say, I'm going to come back and we're going to try and get back there, and we know it's in Duluth. Yeah. I mean, how much did that ignite the fire for you and maybe some of the other 5th-year players that were coming back?
So much. I knew I was coming back before that, but it definitely still stung watching the team. But it gave me a whole new perspective of the game, like seeing all the younger kids step up and like kind of fill the shoes and everyone getting shuffled around. Like, it was really cool to see how our team came more together. But yeah, it definitely gave us a big old fire. And then knowing that we had like a lot of our other classmates coming in for a 5th year, just sticking together and knowing that like we can do this again, and like our home barn and all that good stuff. So it's like the perfect storm. I feel like, like we all have a chip on our shoulder. It's back in Duluth. We're all still here, ready to go.
I think we asked Gabby Hughes this when she was on the podcast a couple weeks ago, but to us on the outside looking in, with everybody that's back, all that happened the last 2 years, being in the Frozen Four, then being in the championship game, the Frozen Four being at AMSOIL Arena, it feels like this is like a national championship or bust type season. And obviously that's the goal every year at UMD, that the standards are that high for the Bulldogs. But how do you as players manage that as you go through? For you, what's it like sitting here now, end of November? You got a very good team on your hands, but there's still a lot of work left to do to get to where you want to be at the end of the year. So how do you manage that? Maybe you came into the year thinking, obviously we want to win a national championship, but there's still a couple months left of work to do to get there.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the ultimate goal, is to win that national championship. But like every game in the WCHA, even non-conference stuff, like it's going to be hard. It can go either way. Like, you don't know what team you're going to get that night. So I think just taking it weekend by weekend, or even just day by day in practices, just really honing in on little things can really take you far later in the season. Like when everyone dials it in that whole week of practice and you really like crush the standards for that weekend, then it's just going to carry you far.
How much do you guys think about hosting the Frozen Four? Because I feel we haven't talked about it much, and when we bring it up, everyone kind of downplays it. But man, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like, very few players get a chance to play a Frozen Four. You could even talk to the Gophers, who hosted, it seems like, every other year at Ritter or something like that. We play everything at Ritter. How much does that cross your mind, Maggie? A chance to play a Frozen Four at home. And if it doesn't cross your mind, how the heck do you keep it out of your mind?
I mean, it doesn't cross my mind a ton. Like, obviously, we think about the national championship a lot and, like, how it is going to be home, but you don't want that, like, excitement to, like, overpower other things. Like, being in my last year, I am just kind of enjoying and soaking up everything. So, I mean, that would be really freaking awesome if we were in it. And like I said, like, that's the goal. But me personally, I'm just like enjoying every little bit, the time with my teammates that I have left, and each game just really bringing it in. And like, my family comes to every game, so enjoying the time up here with them and all that good stuff.
Is it maybe you don't want to think about it because, yes, it'd be, as you said, frickin' awesome to be playing the Frozen Four in AMSOIL Arena. But I also feel like it would be really hard to not be at that Frozen Four when it's here, right? Is that a thought like you got to keep out of your mind? Or is maybe that's some fuel that you don't want to see the Gophers and Badgers and Buckeyes and whoever else in your rink without you there?
Or how about in your locker room? Like, you try not to think about it, but in all reality, like, if let's say you do make it, but you're not the top seed, like someone else is sitting in your locker room stall, that's a little weird. So, I mean, we try not to think about that stuff, but it is reality. You got to think about that. It's not all rainbows and butterflies out there. So, but if we do make it, and it's just one of a kind experience right there.
Imagine being the Gophers, like, in the Bulldog locker. I feel like even the Gophers would be like, can we switch locker
They might
rooms?
decline that option.
Can we decline the Bulldogs locker?
Yeah.
We just give us our normal visiting locker room, which actually I think would be, again, like, if you're not trying to make an event bigger than it is. I don't know if you're the Gophers or the Badgers, you'd want to be in the Bulldogs locker room while the Bulldogs are in the visiting locker room. It'd be weird and everything like that. But that was an interesting thing I haven't even thought about, Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie, talking about you, we mentioned sniper extraordinaire this season. You got 7 goals, which is tied for the number of total goals you had in your previous 4 seasons at UMD. You look at early on in your career, you're the person setting up goals with that shot from the point. What's changed this year? What's allowing you to go from being the setup person to sniping goaltenders in the WCHA and across the country here?
Yeah, I just think with age, confidence and really wanting to have that puck on my stick has really made me grow as a player, and I've kind of come into it this year mostly. Yeah, normally I am the person who's dishing out apples, so it's a little weird to be on the goal scoring end this much, but it's exciting. I'm just kind of having fun with it. Like I said, like, my confidence is high, and I think that just means more fun for me, and like just playing the game I love with the people I love. And like I said before, like last season, like, I'm just soaking it all in.
Are there any good-natured ribbings for players like Ashton Bell and Gabby Hughes that, we're sitting here end of November, start of December, and you're tied for the team leading goals?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone's so supportive of each other. So, I mean, when one of us are doing well, like, I think everyone's doing well.
You mentioned that a couple of the players in that Harvard series scored their first goals, and that, you know, you look up and down. I know a couple players, Gabby, I think, had a goal and 3 assists in that 9-0 win on Saturday, or on the Saturday afternoon. But so there were several players. I think you had, you know, 4 or 5 points throughout the weekend or whatever it was. So there were several players with several points, but you look at the stat sheet and there was hardly a player without a point in that weekend. And you go back to St. Cloud and the scoring was way spread out again. But, you know, how much is that? We talked with Gabby and Ashton about this. You know, Emma's kind of in her own little world as a goaltender, but, you know, the players that come back and have all these expectations on them to kind of be the superstars, we haven't seen necessarily, like, Gabby's not going to break out at this point, it seems, for like a 40-goal season, but your team's being successful and she's happy with that. So how much of it is the players that came back just being happy with the team's success and not necessarily looking to be, you know, more than they need to be individually?
Yeah, I think that comes with the experience. Like, we've had leaders and stuff in the past who may not have put up a zillion points, but more locker room people are on the ice. Like, you're just there to support each other no matter what, knowing the right things to say at the right time. And if you do end up putting a bunch of points up, then that's great. Like, good for you. But it's more than just the score sheet. You know, like, you have to like hold each other tight in those situations. And I think having like the older group and like knowing just like we've been through a lot and like we know different experiences. So I think just bringing those younger kids up and then seeing them rise together is cool.
Is it almost more fun to see like a Mary Kate or a Danielle get their first goals than it is to score yourself at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's always super exciting to see like just their smiles on their faces and everyone's like running to go get their the game puck and grabbing them. The Sellies are always the best because they're either like so surprised or they're like on a knee just having a day. But yeah, just to see like other people either getting off the bench to go grab the puck because everyone else is so excited that they didn't get it, that, yeah, just a smile on everyone's faces. It's great.
Have you had to work on your celly a little bit this year now that you're using it more? Like, you're scoring more goals, so you can't go to the same thing every time.
I know. I think every time I just get so excited that it went in that I just like throw my hands in the air and I'm like, wah! But I'll have to work on it.
Thinking about
I'll
something
start
different?
actually thinking about it.
You're I think your video at Amsoil, your GIF, Zach, I think that's the most creative of the year, right? I think Maggie's probably the leader in the clubhouse.
Yeah, you get to watch those a lot more than I do. I'm focused on other things. The print media has it really easy during the game, so they can watch the scoreboard and stuff like that.
Well, I see it more on Twitter is where I see
same thing. They can watch Twitter during the game. I'm trying to do
Maggie. It actually times really well.
I'll have to look for it next time you score.
The popcorn one. Take me through the inspiration of your popcorn gift this year.
Oh, honestly, it happened the morning of. I was making breakfast and I saw like a popcorn bucket like deep in our house, and I was like, okay, I can like work with that. And I had like my Costco box of popcorn too, and I was like, okay, like I can work with that. And then I just brought it to the rink, and it was like a one take thing because I didn't want to pick up all those popcorn pieces and then try it again. So I had one shot to do that, and wasn't much thought of into it, but I was just going for it.
Everyone at Amsoil is glad that you did it in one take. No one brought their dog that they could have like come in afterwards and like cleaned up the popcorn. I was gonna say Rogie had her cat in there.
Rogie had the cat. Did you have the flaming stick a couple of seasons ago? Who was that?
I think it was Revering.
Was it Revering?
Yeah,
okay.
back in the day,
because Kylie Hanley has the flaming stick now this year. Brought it back.
Katie Davis has her dog in it.
Katie Davis has her dog?
Willow.
I don't think I've seen Katie Davis's. How have I missed that one? Apparently I'm not paying that much attention to Twitter.
You have to be better on that one.
Yeah. Who is it that has the giant stuffed animal?
Oh, Krause.
Krause, yep, because we've seen that a few times. Yep. I don't know what that stuffed animal is. It's just a giant.
It's huge.
It looks like one of the, if you go to Fleet Farm right now, not a sponsor.
Speaking of stuffed animals, Tom Hansen, I'll shout him out because I believe that there's a picture of you on Twitter holding the teddy bear that we tossed from the broadcast booth after you scored on that Saturday against Harvard. He was very adamant. He's like, that is my bear that Maggie picked up and brought back to the bench. So that had to be a cool thing, right? To score a goal to get the teddy bear toss.
That was super cool. And everyone in the locker room was like, who's going to make it rain teddy bears? And then we were all like, who's going to do it? And then, just fortunate.
Was that motivation going into the game? Like, I want to be the one that makes it rain teddy bears?
Yeah, like if you get the shot to make it rain teddy bears, you got to take it. So definitely.
Way more fun, by the way, that the women throw the teddy bears out after the first goal than the men who wait for an intermission.
Yeah, very good on not only UMD, but the WCHA. I know they had to ask for permission, and for Harvard for allowing it, because that's the way the teddy bear toss is meant to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad you scored one, because we've had a couple that, we watch around the nation or whatever, and they get shut out on teddy bear night or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you got that first one early.
Thank you.
Maggie, academically, back to you. What are you doing with this fifth season, and what's it been like being back for a fifth year? A little bit unique situation with you and your group, because you're in a large group of fifth years, and Brogy's in her quote unquote sixth year. Ashton, you could even say sort of kind of a sixth year, going back to how long she's been, when her first year in college. What's it been like for you, grad student, right?
Yeah, I graduated in the spring, and now I'm doing grad school for education. I'm on the fast track for it, so I took a couple of classes in the summer. I'll graduate again in May. It's been pretty easy, I would say, for being in grad school. It's all online, just classes Tuesday, Thursday. I'm just hanging out on Zoom for 4 hours a week and a couple papers here and there, and that's about it, honestly.
What's it like being back playing college hockey for a fifth year? Does it make it easier that there's so many of you on this team, that you have so many of your teammates back, that you're not like, I think of like Tanner Lattereau and Jesse Jocks over on the men's side. They're the last two of their class of the older guys. What's it like for you still being in college?
I love it. I mean, when I got asked if I could do another year of college, I was like, heck yeah. Like, let's do it. Why not? And like, I don't necessarily have like any plans for next year quite yet. So it was just kind of what worked for me, and then figuring out all the school on top of that. And then also being back with the girls one more time is something really special, on top of having last year, how it did. Like, unfortunately, I was out in February for the rest of the season, and then losing in the national championship. Like, it's just, again, like a perfect storm of things that just kind of worked out, where you're just like, okay, like one more year, let's do this thing.
Is that better? Is the fifth year option better on the women's side, do you think, than the men's side? Like, more beneficial? Because, I mean, obviously there's players like Tanner Lattereau and Jesse Jocks who maybe will go on to play pro hockey, but aren't like highly acclaimed draft picks or anything like that, eager to get on to the next part of their career. But on the women's side, we're going to talk about kind of the developing professional hockey side, but to allow you to come back for a fifth year, get your graduate degree, kind of set you up on that side of life after hockey. It seems to make so much sense on the women's side to continue to allow this. I don't know how long this is going to go on, but to continue to allow the women's players to come back and continue that education, because there's not an NHL type league for you to go to in your hockey career. Yeah,
definitely. And like, we do play the full 4 years. Like, it's not like we just leave 2 years and go to the NHL or anything like that. So, I mean, like, we need our schooling for post-college life. So getting that graduate degree in something, or in playing hockey on top of that, still getting better, like, as your years go on. And then potentially with like the women's game growing now, like, it can set you up for another year of like scouts looking at you, or just yourself, like developing, just getting better, getting more confidence in like a great league, and then going on to play professionally if that's what you want to do. But on the other side, like, you come out with a graduate degree, like I said, and then you set yourself up for success too.
Yeah, I know the goal is to get that professional league, or both of them, that are out there right now, to the level where you can go there and it's super competitive, and it's taken steps in that direction. But right now, the league that you're playing in is the best developmental league.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're going to go play professionally or try to make an Olympic team, like, this is the best spot for you to be to get better this year, right?
Absolutely. So one more year, let's do it.
Yeah, you look at Jiggy, Elizabeth Giguere. She comes back, plays a fifth year, plays it in the WCHA, and there she is in the rivalry series playing for Canada.
I can't believe she hadn't made a Canadian team before that year, but that just goes to show, I mean, that year at UMD was valuable. So. Yeah.
And how loaded Canada is right now at the moment. All right, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more with Maggie Flaherty. You're listening to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health.
Hey there, my name is Wyatt Buckner, and I'm the host of the Duluth News Tribune Minute Podcast. Hear the most important news of the day, including weather and sports from Duluth, Minnesota, and from around the Northland. Join me and my fellow reporters as we take you through the local news you need to start your day. Episodes are released Monday through Friday and are available on Apple, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for supporting local journalism.
Hi, I'm Maria Lockwood, a reporter with the Superior Telegram. Explore Superior and Douglas County history with me on Archive Dive, a monthly podcast available at superiortelegram.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to the Bulldog Insider Podcast, brought to you by Essentia Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. They're proud to be the team physicians for the UMD Bulldogs and provide sports medicine care to more than 25,000 student athletes in the community to ensure they can compete at the highest level while protecting their long-term health and athletic futures. Thanks to Essentia Health for their support of the Bulldog Insider Podcast. I'm Matt Wellens, joined by my co-host, Zach Schneider, and our guest, Maggie Flaherty. Maggie, we were talking a little bit about pro hockey and the national teams before the break. What do you, life-wise, we won't make, you kind of said you haven't thought about, what you're going to do with that graduate degree and such in education. You're going to have a lot of options there, but hockey-wise, you actually have a lot of options there now, I think more than, women have had in the past. You have I'm going to always script this acronym. They have too many letters, the PWHPA. I think I got that right. But there's also the Premier Hockey Association, or Premier Hockey Federation. Sorry to them on their abbreviation as well. The former NWHL. You got a couple former teammates who are tearing it up for the Whitecaps right now and there's national teams. There's a lot of options. Have you thought about what you want to do hockey-wise, or have you started looking into all those different options at all?
I've looked into them a little bit, but right now I'm just kind of focusing on my college career and making sure that ends up the way we want it to end up. But I think, if you want to decide that, that happens later in the season, they tend to let you, figure out finish up your season that you're in right now, and then they'll dive into that. I have thought about playing post-college, whether it is overseas or in the States. I mean, early 20s, why not go to Europe and travel and play some hockey for a little bit? Or why not stay in the United States and play the game you love again?
Is it fun as you're still in the college and you have younger teammates in college? How much fun is it for all of you to see the different options? I mean, a year or two on this podcast, the big thing we were talking to everyone was, so you're going to go over to Europe if you're looking to really have a chance to live the pro hockey lifestyle. There wasn't a lot going on here in North America. Now you have that option to maybe go to Europe. You could stay home if you wanted to. How cool is it to see the state of women's hockey developing? Maybe not as fast as some of us would like it to be going, but it's taking some big steps right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's always exciting to see the women's side of the game grow. Like you said, a couple years ago, it was just one or two teams that kind of felt like, or one or two, just really anything. And now, you start hearing about, Jiggy, she's out east. You got Sid and Kleiner and all of them at the Whitecaps and playing there. And then you got a couple overseas are having a great time. So yeah, it's just super cool to see the game expand, and then to see old former Bulldogs in it and making an impact that they are doing.
How much do you guys follow some of your former teammates in the pro ranks right now?
Follow quite a few of them. I mean, Sid Brody with the captain for the Whitecaps, that's huge. Kleiner's doing great. Yeah, Brick and all of them.
I'm trying, Brat must have just, the C was just on her jersey the moment she started playing hockey. She's got maybe 2 years now in the last decade she wasn't a captain or something like that of a team. I thought it was crazy that she got the C for the Whitecaps right away.
Yeah. Aside from that, your current teammates that are back, I mean, talk about the professional levels, but the Olympic levels with their national teams, you're paired with Ashton most games, and then Emma was in the Olympics. But has that crossed your mind too, that in a couple years there's going to be another Olympic cycle, and it feels like your career arc is one where maybe if you decide to keep playing, you could maybe make some noise on the Team USA side, seeing Ashton come back with her gold medal, and seeing teammates that you've played with be on that Olympic stage. Has that kind of sparked, a new fire for post-college goals? I mean, yeah, for sure. You never want to close the doors on yourself at all. So, I mean, you keep playing and keep doing your thing, then if it works out, it works out. Something to set your mind to and work for it. You got a gold medal with the U18s, right? Yes, I do. Was Coach Kroll on that staff? Yep. Okay. Yep. You're one of the ones that won a gold medal with her. Yep. So Maggie's got the Team USA experience. Where was that one? Dimitrov, Russia. I think that's how you say it. Yeah. So you got some experience as Europe. But did you go to any training camps in this last cycle with Team USA, the senior team?
No.
No, not
Nope.
at all. Okay.
They haven't had a lot either because of the pandemic and everything like that. So, Maggie, some quick hits to close this out. We haven't started a controversy with the women's coaching staff yet on the podcast, so we're gonna go there because Maggie's a fifth-year senior and she could chirp them if she needs to. Maggie, which coach are you trusting with a one-timer on the power play to snipe a goalie?
Shoe.
Shoe. Okay.
That was quick.
Yeah. I've seen Lou in rebound game, and it's brutal.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I've heard Lou's pretty proud of her shot now, the former goalie.
The one from like the hash marks, yeah, but if you give her the nicest backdoor pass, she'll just whiff on it.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Sorry, Lou.
As Maggie Flaherty's ice time decreases.
Hey, she didn't chirp the head coach, you noticed on that. Again, another option, actually, with the women's game, you can almost do all three of these. I think Sid Brott might be doing all three of these right now. If you had a choice, would you play, coach, or scout hockey? We got Sid Morin scouting in the NHL and playing pro hockey. Sid Brott, I think, she's coaching. She's doing some coaching and playing pro hockey. But if you had to choose one.
Like for like a lifetime career kind
Yeah,
of
for a lifetime career.
Scout.
Scout?
Yeah.
You'd rather do the scouting
yes.
than the coaching route? All right.
Yeah. I would
Or
say
the
so.
plane, too, huh?
Yeah. So at one point you got to hang them up.
You have 9 players that are at least 22 years old on the team, but age is just a number. So who is the old soul on the roster this year?
Hannah Baskin.
Hannah Baskin.
Hannah Baskin. Yeah.
Not Naomi Rogie, despite everyone calling her grandma.
No.
What makes Hannah Baskin the old soul on the roster?
She listens to records and older music, and yeah, she's kind of a little hippie.
Who on the team would you most trust to cook a holiday meal?
Nina.
Nina?
Nina.
She's got some cooking
Yes.
skills, huh? Does she have? Is there a dish that pops in your mind, like that she's really good? Does she have a signature dish or anything like that?
No, it's all pretty good.
It's all pretty good.
Yeah.
Just if Nina's cooking, you're there.
Yeah.
Does she cook a lot of German-inspired dishes, or is she kind of transformed a little bit?
I think, don't quote me on this, but I think her mom's a big cook. So I think she kind of gets it from her mom, which worked out. It's very good. A couple of times I've eaten with her.
Nina's well-traveled. She's got, I think she's got 3 passports, if I remember right, British, German, and Canadian. So
It's probably not British food that she's cooking. It's got to be
German.
Yeah, it's got to be German or Canadian or French food, I guess, maybe.
Who's the best gift giver on the team?
Ooh, I say Gabby Hughes.
Gabby Hughes?
Yeah, very thoughtful.
Very thoughtful. Okay. Maggie, what's your favorite holiday?
I'm going to go with Halloween.
Halloween? Mm-hmm. Why Halloween?
Dressing up always just cracks me up. And I feel like the last 5 years, our team has gone very hardcore costume-wise in Halloween, and it's just hilarious.
You've got a Halloween practice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first off, what costume did you have this year?
I think we were zebras or something. We totally forgot about it till the morning of. So.
And then who had the best costume? Who was your favorite?
There was like Tay and Katie had like Hawaiian, so they had like floaties on their arms and hula skirts and lace taped on their helmets. So that was pretty funny.
What's the best costume the coaches have come out in for Halloween practice?
This year they were Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
And
I saw that. Mm-hmm. That seemed like difficult to practice in. Like it reminded
With
me
the
of like
mask
it
and
reminded me of like in high school, my buddies who were wrestlers and are like walking around in the rubber suits all day trying to like cut weight
Yeah.
before weigh in that night for a meet or something like that. I'm thinking that's warm skating around and practicing in those. What's your favorite coach's costumes?
I have to go with the Mario Kart one.
The Mario Kart one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lou as Luigi was spot on.
All right. We'll close it out there. That's all the time we have this week on the Bulldog Insider Podcast. Maggie, thank you a lot for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
The Bulldog Insider Podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe and rate us. For more Bulldogs hockey coverage, visit therinklive.com and DuluthNewstribune.com. Zach, you going to pull a doubleheader with me on Friday and Saturday?
Not Friday. We got 3 of the 4 games at Amsoil Arena this week, but that UMD Ohio State women's game on Friday is so big that they get the Big Time Network. Big Ten Network is here on Friday afternoon to do that game. So 3 o'clock Friday, you can watch the Bulldogs and Buckeyes, and then we've got the other 3 o'clock Saturday for the women's finale, and then 7 o'clock both nights for the men against Colorado College.
A lot of hockey at Amsoil Arena this weekend. Come on out. 8 games in 2 weekends here to close it out before a well-deserved holiday break. Thanks to our sponsor, Essentia Health, for the support of the Bulldog Insider Podcast. And thanks to all of you for listening. We'll catch you next week.